Hi everybody, Nate from Richard's Guitar Studio, and today I want to answer the question, I want to learn music theory, but I don't know where to start. Can you help me? This is a question I get a lot. So I have two main areas you want to start with. The first area is regardless of your instrument.
You want to learn how to sight read at even a basic level on your instrument.
Whether it's guitar, flute, piano, violin, whatever it is that you play, you want to be able to sight read standard music notation on your instrument. If you're a singer, I would recommend basic piano. That's really going to help you. I'm a guitar player, so I really like to teach even my electric students. I like to teach them classical guitar because classical guitar music is really rich and has a lot of really interesting pieces even in the beginner and intermediate levels that makes it really interesting to play. You could go that route, which I have in the description a link to Shearer's book on classical guitar. Or you could go the sort of the old school standard electric guitar way of, let's say, the Hal Leonard Method or the Mel Bay Method, which are both linked in the description as well. Either way is fine as long as you're learning to read notes playing the guitar. So that's number one. Once you take a few months and learn how to sight read on your instrument and become fluent in at least a basic level, then you're ready to start written music theory lessons. At that point, this is the second big stage,
which I call 4 pillars of music theory.
The first pillar of music theory is
intervals.
Intervals are the distances between the notes. So if you have two notes, either melodic or harmonic, the distance between the note is an interval between those two notes. So what you want to learn as a beginner is simple intervals, which is anything from a minor second, which is a half step, the smallest interval you can do, all the way up to an octave. You don't need to go past an octave yet. You want to learn and master those intervals. You want to be able to write them, identify them, and hear them as well, and use your ear to identify somebody playing one of those intervals. But I think the most important part is being able to write them, and then you really know you have it mastered.
The second pillar is scales.
So your major scale and your 3 minor scales in the classical format here. You have your major scale, and then you have your 3 minor scales: natural minor, harmonic minor, and melodic minor. So what you want to be able to do with scales is write, identify, and hear these scales really with 2 different perspectives. One would be relative and one is parallel. So the relative method is how the scales relate to one another, and the parallel method is how to build a scale by changing some of the notes. So that would be, I'm getting ahead of myself here. So scales, major scale and your 3 minor scales in the relative method and the parallel method. The third pillar,
key signatures.
You want to be able to identify key signatures, and more importantly, write key signatures in major and minor keys. So you want to be able to look at a key signature and identify which major key it would be, and also identify the relative minor that uses that same key signature. In addition, this is how you know you're really mastered, is you take a pencil and a piece of staff paper and write it down. So you're going to write a song in the key of E major, pick up a pencil and be able to notate that key signature, then you really know you have it mastered. The fourth and final pillar of music theory would be
triads.
So you want to do 2 different ways of doing this. One is the diatonic triads for major and minor keys. Those are the triads or chords that fit with a key. So if I'm in the key of G, what are the chords that I can use, and what are the Roman numeral analyses for those chords? The other way is to be able to build major, minor, diminished, and augmented, the 4 standard, or the 4 triads that we have. You want to be able to write them regardless of what key you're in, just pick a triad and be able to figure out what the notes are. So for example, if I said write down a C sharp minor triad, you would be able to write down those notes in staff notation. So once you have your sight reading on your instrument down, and then you move into written music theory lessons, and you're mastering intervals, scales, key signatures, and triads with all of the breakdowns that I gave you, then you will have a solid foundation in music theory. Any musician that has those things down, you're going to be better at figuring out songs by ear, writing songs, memorizing songs, figuring out how the songwriter put the song together, which is analyzing the songs, improvising your own music, and singing, and etc., etc. Even learning other instruments is going to be easier once you understand how these building blocks work. So many things are going to improve. Once you have all that down, you're ready to add on to that to other kinds of music theory, which are not necessarily essential to being a musician, but the more theory you know, the better. So next might be seventh chords, or compound intervals, or four-part writing, soprano, alto, tenor, bass writing, modulation, which is key changes, secondary dominants and secondary leading tones, non-chord tones such as suspensions, anticipations, appoggiatures, etc. And then even more advanced 20th century music theory such as modes, or atonality and serialism, pitch class sets, and other forms of sort of odd, mysterious music theory. But once you have that music reading down on your instrument, and you can sight read at least at a basic level, and you can do written music theory lessons on intervals, scales, key signatures, and triads,
you're good to go.
All right. So I hope this helps. I'll be continuing to upload videos on music theory and guitar lessons and all that. So stay tuned. So hit that subscribe button, and we'll see you later.